I make a lot of videos exposing scams in the music industry. It's sort of become my thing over the years. TTM, Hard Luck Kings, Busui Guitars, King of Shred X. Granted, TTM, I wasn't the first one to make a video on that one. But these are all people and brands whose shady practices I've done my best to shut down with my videos. So it's only natural that I would go through life a little bit weary of sketchy people in the music business. But there is one scam, so small and so inconspicuous, that it even got me. So this is the story of a band that doesn't exist, and a scam that's been happening in Western Europe for more than a decade now. My awareness of this started in May of last year, when I was going to an electric callboy show in Stuttgart, Germany. I'd arrived a bit early, and while waiting outside the venue, the Hans-Martin Schleierhalle, a guy with a big long beard approached me, backed by a group of people who looked like if you asked ChatGPT to generate a rock musician. Now I don't know what it's like in the US, or really anywhere in the world outside my own country, but around here, it isn't uncommon to see bands sort of circumventing the tax bureau, if you will, by advertising their CDs for free but accepting donations. Purely by coincidence, of course. This happens all the time, and I'm a big believer in not letting the local music scene die out completely, so I gave them a chance. The dialogue went something like this. We're a metal band from Estonia. Oh, that's cool, that's quite far away. What are you doing here? Oh, we're on tour across Europe and we're just trying to raise the budget a little bit with some CDs. You into metal? Hell yeah, I am. How much do you want for one? However much you're willing to donate, man. I had about $7 in coins in my pocket, so I gave him that, got this CD, and was intrigued to give it a listen on the drive back home after the Electric Callboy show. And boy, when I did. This CD, by the band Defrage Reload, featuring such groundbreaking hit songs as track 8, Stairway to No Heaven, might be the worst bit of rock music that I have ever heard. But that itself isn't a scam, it's just shit music. There is plenty of that out there. But in that disappointment, after having skipped through the album a bit and realizing you could have bought a kebab for that money, you may find yourself looking up the band on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever inferior alternative to Spotify that you use, and you'll find nothing. They are not on there. Strange that a band touring across Europe wouldn't be available on any streaming services, huh? I mean, even Tool noticed at some point that it was eating into their bottom line not to list their music online. So the logical next step is to look them up on Google. And that's where the rabbit hole opens up, because the band Defrage Reload doesn't exist. The video, as you've come to know and love it, will continue in just a second after a brief word from today's sponsor, Aura. If you travel a lot like I do, then you've probably made it a habit to take very good care of your things. Bags, wallet, passport, all accounted for, but your personal data is the easiest thing to lose without even realizing it. A shady booking site, a public Wi-Fi network, all of these are places where data brokers can steal and sell your data. Your name, phone number, address, sometimes even your social security number. That's where today's sponsor Aura comes in. Your phone number could already be out there. Or do you think those WhatsApps you keep getting from Chinese Rolex counterfeiters are a coincidence? Maybe that one's just me. Aura does all of the hard work of getting your personal information off of these data broker sites, and while they're doing that, they are constantly scanning the dark web to see if your information has been leaked. And they alert you if one of these breach databases contains your info before anybody can get to it to take out a lease for a Mercedes in your name. I could go onto any data broker site right now and buy anyone's personal data off of there without any repercussions. And that's why Aura offers up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, because if shit goes sideways, your bank is not going to foot the bill. You can use the link below or go to aura.com/sixstringtv to get the first 14 days of Aura completely free, which is more than enough time for them to check if your data is already out there. Back to it. Now, what do you mean it doesn't exist? Clearly a group of musicians, the quality of which varies, came together at some point to make some bad music to publish without mixing it first, and then sell it as cheaply produced CDs in a plastic sleeve. And yeah, but it doesn't really go beyond that, because the band name hasn't always been Defrage Reload. And if you're European, you may have heard of these guys under the name Illuminium, a fake rock band from Estonia that has been around since 2014 and apparently makes a living off of scamming pedestrians across all of Western Europe out of sums of money that individually are just small enough to be negligible. And every time that too many people notice, they change their name. And so in the past decade, they've been known under the aliases Illuminium, California Condor, Defrage, and what I believe to be the most recent, Defrage Reload. I'm just basing the assumption that that's the most recent one on the fact that that's what they were operating under in early 2024 when I encountered them. Alright, this is all very strange. Let's hang on for a second. A rock band in 2025 has to have an Instagram page, right? You can't find anything under the name Defrage or Defrage Reload, but I did find an Instagram page for Illuminium, and their bio is the reddest flag that I have ever seen. Defrage, Illuminium, and California Condor are the same band. How thinly veiled this charade is, huh? We know that we've been scamming you under multiple different names, so no matter which of these names you came here to find, yep, that's us. Purely judging by their Instagram page alone, though, you'd never catch on. All they post are bad promo photos or snippets taken from low-budget music videos.
There's someone who stands like manhunt, away to the truth.
Nothing super unusual for a band of this caliber, and the follower count also seems decent, or at least somewhat reasonable, for a band that might be touring across Europe and, kind of the Germany and Italy and whatever from Estonia. But there is one more thing that I haven't inspected yet, and that is the CD itself. CDs have a tendency to have text on them, and that text, in most cases, will be declarations of copyrights and trademarks, as well as songwriting credits. So besides the track list that sounds like it could genuinely be AI generated, it is so bad, we have the following. Recorded by Defrage Reload at Rio Gaudiela Studio in Spain and Zorg Sound Laboratory Studio in Estonia. And the only trace of both of those studios that I was able to find online was on Discogs, which I can just go and write myself if I really want to make up a studio that doesn't exist. The only person on here that I was actually able to find a trace of beyond Discogs entries that could have just been written by the phony members of this phony band is the engineer who allegedly mastered this record, Klaas Gerling. Because Klaas Gerling, after a quick Google search, you will find is a genuine record producer based in Cologne, Germany, in the genres of techno and dancehall music. So while this man does have a variety of credits for production and songwriting on songs of varying quality under his belt, you will forgive me for doubting that he has any involvement with this record. Now that could be wrong, but I haven't had any opportunity to have him prove me wrong because my attempts to reach out to Klaas have been unsuccessful. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that one on the doubt pile. And that is not to mention that this thing says over and over that the album name Revelation 1, as well as the band name Defrage Reload, are copyrighted, of which I couldn't find any evidence besides the fact that Discogs also says it's copyrighted, but no actual registry of copyrights or trademarks lists Defrage Reload, or Defrage, or California Condor, the alias they were using during the COVID lockdown times, for that matter. Fishy. But keeping up this facade must cost some money, right? So I'm just really confused as to how they've been pulling it off for so long. Between the travel through Europe, which I doubt they do on freight trains like homeless people in 80s television, the CD production, cheaply done as it may be, places to crash every night for the entire rotation of fake band members, and shooting all these phony music videos for songs that you can't find anywhere but in the music videos, that's money. And I can only speak for myself and the few people that I saw talk about them in Reddit threads and different forums, but I gave them €7. And that appears to be somewhat the average. 5 at least, 15 at most. So I'm not going to try and do the math of how much it would cost to produce all of these CDs that they need, how many people on average might buy one in a day, what it would cost to get them all under some sort of roof every single night, or what the travel would cost, but it's just very strange. Setting up camp for this in front of big music venues isn't the dumbest idea, because people who are already spending money on a concert ticket are clearly already in the mood to support musicians, but it can't be that much, right? It's kind of the perfect scam, though. Individually, they're taking so little from you that you'll have forgotten about it the next day. I know I did. This was a year ago, and it's been in my car ever since. But that money stacks up, especially since it's technically all donations as opposed to CD sales, so it's probably safe to assume that they aren't paying taxes on it. This, compared to the scams that I usually bust open in my videos where individuals will lose hundreds if not thousands of dollars at once, is much more sustainable, as evident by the fact that they've been running this shit for apparently over a decade with only minimal turnover in their fake members and a few band aliases. And the bummer is that this can discourage people from supporting actual good local bands, who probably do fund the gas for their 96 Ford Aerostar that they're touring with through those donations. Selling shit to people in parking lots or outside venues is an integral part of the local rock and metal scene. So I suppose a good rule of thumb, for now at least, is don't buy anything off a band that claims to be from Estonia unless you're in Estonia. Or, you know what? Ask for their name and give it a Google first. Thank you for watching. Don't give your money to scammers, and I'll see you later.